Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Hope you feel better soon, recovering from your athletic injury. Fellow Toastmasters and our guests, glad that you're here. You know, in 59 years of living, there's one eternal truth that I have found affects every one of us. And that is, it's always something. Say it with me. It's always something. Well, now, if you thought that getting spam email from Banu's hijacked computer was bad, wait till you hear the story I have to share with you. And it's all true, unlike the Kelly dog story. This is all true. Happened 2 weeks ago today. I went to Tropical Smoothie with Louis and beautiful Ilse, our fellow Toastmaster. Sviki, Ilse. Sviki.
Sviki.
Okay. And I went home to catch up on some work, and I get a call. Warren, this is Pastor George. Kelly is in the hospital, and she may not last the night. Now, Kelly was a member of our divorce care group at Crossroads Fellowship. It's a huge church on Millbrook. And she had terminal cancer. She was going through a divorce. Her house was in foreclosure. She had no insurance. She has 2 little daughters, 2 and 5. Very sad case. But that's not the focus of my speech today. In any event, he said, Warren, I don't think she's going to last the night. And she's asked for her family, she's asked for me, and she's asked for you. Can you come? I said, absolutely. So I dropped everything and I went on to the Wakeman Hospital on New Bern Avenue. So I'm driving down 440 and I get off on the New Bern Avenue exit. There's a car in front of me. And I see the guy looking over his shoulder for oncoming traffic. And I see that he sees that there is no oncoming traffic and he starts to move ahead. So I do the same. I look over my shoulder, see there's no oncoming traffic, and I start to move ahead. But he stopped. I have a 10-ton Toyota Sequoia. He has a 1994 Chevy Geo that weighs about 100 pounds. So, boom, I really smacked him. And I'm thinking, it's always something. And this is going to cost me. So we pull over to the shoulder of the road, and he gets out. Nice guy, about late 50s, graying, tall guy. Very nice. We call him Mr. B for purposes of confidentiality. He gets out, and he looks at his trunk and bumper. The bumper was dented pretty bad. The trunk was buckled up. And I get out and I say, I am so sorry. It's obviously my fault. Now, that's something lawyers don't do. They tell you never to do that. Insurance companies tell you never to do that. But being a Christian man, it was pretty obvious that I screwed up. So I said, I'm so sorry. And I said, look, I'm in a bit of an emergency. I've got a friend who's dying at the hospital, and I need to get there right away. What do you want to do? And he said, I don't know. I said, well, look, here's my name and number and my insurance company. I'll get yours. And you think about it and call me. Okay. So I go into the hospital, and they tell me that Kelly is not at that hospital. She's at Wake Med in Cary, this is rush hour time. It's going to take an hour to get there. So, again, it's always something. I finally get to the hospital, spend about 3 hours with Kelly. She's hanging in there. She's still hanging in there to this day, fortunately. I spend time with her. I'm on my way home, and I get a call on my cell. And it's the friend of Mr. B. And he says, Warren, I've talked with Mr. B, and really all he really wants is to get his car fixed. He doesn't want to get the police involved. He doesn't want to get the insurance companies involved. I'm listening. I'm being cool, but inside I'm going, yeah, that's what I want. So I said, fine. You tell him to get an estimate and just give me a call, and we'll see where we are. So I didn't think anything more about it. The next day was Wednesday. I'm on the phone working out a credit card problem, and you know when you're on the phone with a credit card company, you can't get off because you have to start all over again. I have the maid in the house, and I get a call on my cell while I'm on the phone with the credit card company. And I say, hello? It says, Warren, this is Officer H of the Raleigh Police Department. And I need to know where you are right now. And I said, well, I'm at home. He said, were you involved in an accident? I said, yes. I said, well, I need you to get to the scene right now. And I said, well, I've got people in my house and I'm tied up right now. I can't come right now. He says, I need to see you right now. You either come to the scene or you tell me where I can meet you. I said, well, I'm at home. You can come here. He says, no, your home is outside of our jurisdiction. So you tell me where I can meet you. I said, well, I can meet you at Walgreens at Durand and Falls and Nits. He said, I'll be there in 10 minutes. You be there. And if you're not there, I am going to issue a warrant for your arrest. You are going to spend the night in jail. And I'm going, whoa. Did I do that bad by leaving the scene of an accident? So I'm thinking again, it's always something. I go to Walgreens. I wait in the parking lot. The police cruiser comes up. Officer H and his colleague, big burly guys, get out of the car and start coming to me in a menacing manner. And I'm wondering what's going on. And they said, Mr. Kniskern, you were involved in an accident. I said, yes, I was. And you left the scene of the accident. I said, well, it was just a fender bender with 2 cars, and I thought we would just handle it privately since it didn't involve anyone else and it was just a fender bender. He said, you are in big trouble. And I said, well, I don't understand. Today's Wednesday. The accident happened yesterday. And he said, yesterday? You mean you weren't involved in an accident 20 minutes ago? I said, no. What's going on? He said, well, we met with Mr. B at the scene of the accident just a few minutes ago. He called 911 and said that you left the scene of the accident and it was playing it like it was a hit and run. And I'm going, no, it happened yesterday. Now, remember, his friend called me the night before and said, Mr. B has a learning disability. So that's something to keep in mind. So I said, there must be some confusion. He has a learning disability. Maybe he just got confused. And they called Mr. B, and he's still at the scene. They said, when did this accident occur? He said, oh, it occurred yesterday. So I said, didn't you ask, I said to the officer, didn't you ask Mr. B when the accident occurred? He says, no, we didn't, because he called 911. We thought it happened right away. And I said, well, if you're playing it like a hit and run, isn't it a little curious that you have my name and my cell phone number and you called me? If I was a hit and run, why would I leave all that information? And again, I'm thinking, it's always something. So anyway, we got it straightened out. Mr. B was confused. It turns out that a friend of his said, you need to go to the scene of the accident and call 911. And he just did it, even though it was a day later. Later that afternoon, I get a call from Mr. B. He says, hi, Warren. I've gotten some estimates on my car, and they're all pretty much about the same. Now, remember, this is a 1994 Chevy Geo with 151,500 miles on it. He says, I said, okay, what's the estimate? He said, $3,500 to repair the bumper and the trunk. I said, I looked on the computer real quick, and Kelley Blue Book value for a car with that mileage is $625. I said, Mr. B, I'm very sorry about what happened, but we have to look at the realities of the situation. If you want to ask for $3,500, I'll be glad to submit it to my insurance company, but I can tell you what they're going to do. They're going to total out your car, take your car, and give you $625. Alternatively, you can keep your car because it drove fine. It's just the trunk was buckled a little bit. you can keep your car and I'll give you a check for $625. So it's your choice. Either way you want to do it, it's fine with me. You just let me know. So a little later, his friend called back and said, we'll take the $625 and we'll keep the car. They were very happy. So I prepared a release, and we set up an appointment to meet at Wachovia on Saturday morning so we could get it notarized. And I gave him the check. He was very pleased. And as we're walking out the door, and he gets in his car and I get in mine, I said, why don't you go first? Because it's always something. Mr. Toastmaster.